Many men believe they were rejected because they weren't enough. And they're right, but not because they lacked beauty, money, or charm. It's because she had already seen everything. She said nothing. She just disappeared. It wasn't a mistake. It was a decision. Women don't choose with logic. They choose with perception. And they perceive more than you show. They see your anxiety, even when you smile. They detect your neediness, even when you speak with confidence. They don't choose the nicest guy. They choose the most grounded one. They don't stay with the one who speaks sweetly. They stay with the one who exudes steadiness without effort. The one who can hold tension without collapsing. That's the kind of man who gives her feminine side permission to relax. If a woman ever distanced herself from you without an apparent reason, it wasn't by chance. It was a silent evaluation that you didn't pass. Because if you can't handle your own chaos, she won't trust you to contain hers. And even if she never says it, she'll feel it. This video is not a trick, it's clarity. You're about to discover the 5 invisible signs that determine whether a woman chooses you or forgets you. Rule 1, she feels peace when you master chaos. Many men confuse emotional security with softness. They think being emotionally available, understanding, and always present makes them better partners. What they don't understand is that the security a woman seeks isn't about tenderness. It's about structure. She doesn't want someone who hugs her when she falls apart. She wants someone who doesn't fall apart with her. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to be impetuous than cautious, because fortune is a woman, and if you wish to keep her under, it is necessary to beat and coerce her." This isn't about literal violence, but an uncomfortable truth. Feminine energy yields to the one who asserts himself with clarity, not the one who seeks approval. To the one who dominates the environment, not the one who asks for permission to exist in it. In that context, a woman isn't drawn to the man who reacts to her chaos, but to the one who remains unmoved within it, not the one who tries to fix her, but the one who can maintain his own peace while she burns. Desire is born when she senses she's in front of someone who doesn't collapse, who doesn't change his tone, posture, or breathing, even when the air is thick with tension. It's not an act of coldness, it's an act of leadership. The one who masters his impulses, masters the scene. The one who can hold his voice back projects more than the one who raises it. Because in the silent language of desire, steadiness weighs more than words. And when a woman senses she's in the presence of a man who isn't driven by need or bent by conflict, something inside her gives way. Not out of submission, but out of respect. Rule 2. She falls in love with the enigma, not the mirror. Showing everything, saying everything, giving yourself completely from the very beginning. That is the strategy of the man who confuses connection with exposure. He believes that if he opens up enough, if he's transparent, if he reveals every corner of his story and emotion, he will spark desire. But desire doesn't grow in what is visible. It grows in what is not fully understood. Machiavelli explained it clearly. Most men judge with their eyes, not with their minds. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. In the art of power, and also in love, perception is more important than essence, because people don't act on the truth. They act on what they believe is true. And if she feels she's already figured you out, if there are no more layers to uncover, her attraction fades. Not because she doesn't like you, but because there's no more tension. The man who preserves an untouched inner space, who stays silent with purpose, who doesn't give everything from the start, awakens something in her that goes beyond interest. He activates imagination. And where there's imagination, there's emotional connection. She doesn't fall in love with the one who explains everything. She falls in love with the one who lets himself be discovered, the one who can disappear without hurting and reappear without explaining, the one who moves with autonomy, not craving constant approval. The mistake isn't in hiding. The mistake is in overexposing what is sacred, because what is too readily available is perceived as ordinary, and a woman doesn't desire what is ordinary. She desires what cannot be fully possessed, what isn't completely understood, what doesn't answer immediately, what doesn't surrender before truly being chosen. Rule 3. Female desire responds to social respect. A woman doesn't choose in a vacuum. She may be looking at you, but she's also watching how the world looks at you, because what others think of you inevitably affects how she perceives you. No matter how much she denies it, her psychology responds to social signals. And if you go unnoticed by everyone, you become invisible to her too. Machiavelli put it bluntly and clearly. Power is not what you have. It's what others believe you have. And that perception changes everything in love. If you walk through life as an ordinary, insecure man, without direction or purpose, no one takes you seriously. And if no one takes you seriously, she won't be able to feel respect for you, no matter how hard she tries. But if you walk into a room and heads turn, if other men listen to you, if people follow you, seek your opinion, watch you attentively, something clicks in her mind. She doesn't see you as just another man. She sees you as someone who has already been validated by the environment. And without you saying a word, that raises your value in her eyes. It's not about pretending or putting on a show. It's about being a man whose presence carries weight, who knows his worth and doesn't need to shout it, who doesn't seek attention, but naturally draws it. Because deep down, she's not looking for the nicest man, she's looking for the most respected one, the one others recognize without him needing to explain himself. And if you're already in a relationship, this still applies. Many men, once they're in a relationship, begin to soften. They forget to grow. They disconnect from their environment. They focus so much on maintaining the relationship that they neglect their personal evolution. And when you stop being desired by the outside world, you gradually stop being admired within it too. Female desire needs external validation, not because she's superficial, but because she is biologically wired to bond with what she perceives as valuable, rare, and hard to obtain. And if the world doesn't admire you, if you don't project strength, respect, and purpose, she will notice, and her attraction will quietly begin to fade, even if she doesn't understand why. Rule 4. He who leads the emotion leads the connection. Many men believe that leading a relationship means solving everything quickly, that calming her when she explodes or softening when she pulls away is a sign of emotional intelligence. But a man who behaves this way isn't leading, he's reacting. He's orbiting around her energy without realizing that the more he follows her emotionally, the more he loses his center. Machiavelli taught that true power is not shouted, it is established. A leader doesn't impose through force. He shapes the environment through his own stability. The same applies in love. A woman doesn't give herself to the man who agrees with her. She gives herself to the one who doesn't lose himself, to the one who doesn't need to raise his voice to be heard, nor lower himself to be accepted. Emotional tension isn't the problem. The problem is not knowing how to contain it, and he who cannot contain it ends up dancing to someone else's rhythm. He adapts, he fades, and with that, he loses respect. Because respect is born from direction, and you cannot lead anything if you are emotionally tied to every one of her reactions. The man who truly leads the connection doesn't avoid conflict. He doesn't downplay it either. He simply exists within it without breaking. He knows when to speak, but also when to remain silent. He knows when to hold and when to give space. He doesn't rush. He doesn't justify himself. He doesn't mirror her chaos. Because the one who leads emotion doesn't follow it. He observes it, holds it, and then sets the pace. And most importantly, he doesn't do it to control her. He does it because he has learned not to overflow in the face of her intensity. And that stability, silent, firm, non-negotiable, is what impacts her most deeply. Rule 5. The one who can leave is the one who always stays. The average man believes that staying no matter what is a virtue, that unconditional loyalty makes him valuable, that the more he endures, the more worthy he becomes. But deep down, what he transmits isn't commitment. It's fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of being alone. Fear of not being enough without her. And that fear doesn't inspire respect. It inspires doubt. Machiavelli understood this game well. He said power doesn't belong to the nicest, but to the one who can walk away without losing his inner throne. In love, that translates to a brutal rule. The one who can leave without drama is the one who lingers longest in a woman's mind. Because nothing is more unforgettable than a man who doesn't beg. When she sees that you give everything, accept everything, draw no lines, enforce no consequences, she doesn't see that as love. She sees it as a lack of self-worth. Because what isn't defended deteriorates. And if a man doesn't walk away when his boundaries have been repeatedly violated, he's not showing commitment. He's showing weakness. This isn't about punishment. It's not about manipulation. It's about protecting the standard. Because when a woman senses that you can walk away without needing to prove pain, without creating a scene, without sending messages to make her come back, something shifts in her perception. You're no longer on the same level as the others. You're not the one chasing her attention. You're the one who can walk away from her, if staying means betraying yourself. In long-term relationships, this truth runs even deeper. Over time, it's easy to lose your edge, to let things slide, to stay silent for the sake of comfort, to soften out of fear of losing connection. But the man who understands this rule never abandons himself to keep anyone. If his standard is repeatedly ignored, he doesn't explain, he doesn't beg, he leaves. Because his presence is not a favor, it's a choice. A woman doesn't choose with logic. She chooses with her body, her emotion, her instinct. She feels what you project before she understands who you are. And most men never learn this. They spend their lives trying to be liked, to fit in, to earn a place, without ever understanding what truly moves her. But now that has changed. Now you see what others don't, what lies behind the words, behind the affection, behind the desire. You've stepped out of the cycle where so many get lost, seeking approval, pleasing, hoping to be chosen. Because once you understand how a woman truly chooses, you no longer need to chase. You no longer explain. You no longer perform to be validated. You observe, you filter, you decide, and you stand firm, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. This isn't coldness, it's strategy. It's not about manipulation, but about presence. It's what Machiavelli admired: silent command, the ability to assert without shouting, mastery, not over her, but over oneself. And when you claim that power, something changes. You stop being an option and start being the one who chooses. Because the man who commands his space, protects his standards, and leads his life doesn't need to convince anyone. She feels it. If she's the one, she aligns. If not, she steps aside. And from this moment on, you don't need to become him. You already are, if you remain steady.